but what'll happen is when this goes live here, it'll show up and I'll be able to set it to the top of the stream. So, and then we'll start doing our intro.
And it usually seems as though we've already started and don't know it.
Exactly. So we're pretending we're live now, even though we are probably live.
Or we've thought that we've finished and we haven't, and we're still talking and being awful people.
All right. I found it. All right. So I'm going to pin this to the top. Just a moment. Marking as an announcement first. And then.
Oh, hello.
Exactly. And now I'm pinning it to the top. All right. So we are live and streaming via Facebook. All right. So welcome to Monster Talk Live. This is our third episode of this. It's pretty exciting. Hey, Karen.
Can
you hear me, Karen?
I can now. Yes.
Okay. Hey, Karen, we're live. So, hey, you want to introduce yourself?
Hi, everyone. I'm Karen Stolzno.
And I'm Blake Smith. And I don't think you can see my hand. There we are. So, yeah. And this is Bigfoot.
MonsterTalk. And so we're doing this live. This is our third live show in as many weeks. And we've been doing this because we had requests during the pandemic to do something a little bit different and something interactive, so people can come in and ask questions and chat with us. And so this has just been a nice thing to do during this time when we're all stuck at home.
Yeah, and again, you can follow our show at monstertalk.org if you're seeing this on Facebook or YouTube. Mm-hmm. You can join our Facebook group. Just look for Monster Talk, all one word, on Facebook. And
I think they would have had to join to watch this, though, right?
But later, this will be on YouTube for free, so they might find it there. And then you can find us on Patreon at patreon.com/MonsterTalk, all one word, also. And we're excited to have a guest tonight. You want to talk about that, Karen?
Yeah. So we have a guest. His name's Douglas Tait, and we've been advertising him on Facebook, on Twitter. He is the actor who has played Bigfoot more times than any other actor in history.
And he's in our green room, which is not green right now.
Well, you're in the green room.
I'm in the green room.
White room with black curtains.
All right. So Doug has been in the film world. He's known as the Monster Man, and he's played a variety of creatures. He was in The Creature Man, and he is also he was in the Annabelle Comes Home movie. He was in the new Hellboy remake, and he's in the CW Paranormal series Legacy, which deals with werewolves, vampires, and all sorts of things, and many, many, many other things. He has a huge listing on IMDb. So let's bring in Doug. Theoretically. Hey, there we go.
Hey, Douglas. Thanks for joining us.
Hey, thanks for having me.
This is exciting. So it's my poor computer is taxed to the max by handling this, but it seems to be doing okay. So this is great.
Yeah, someone said you're clipping still, so I don't know if you're too close to the mic. Or...
I'm far away from the mic, and I've turned down the gain. And if there's like any lag or whatever, that's probably a bandwidth issue. But if anybody's really concerned about the power of my computer, we can always take donations at monstertalk.com/support. Yeah. Help me buy a new computer, more powerful. But anyway, thank you for joining us, Doug. This is really cool.
Yeah, so, good to have you here. And so I was just telling the audience that you have the claim to fame of appearing as Bigfoot in more roles than any other actor in history. Is that true?
Wow. God, I didn't even realize that, but yeah, it's been a lot of Bigfoots, a lot of Sasquatches. And probably the most famous one I play, which is pretty cool.
What's the most famous one?
The Jack Link Sasquatch.
That is a big famous. Yeah. I mean, he's influenced. Like if you look at the artwork of Bigfoot, those commercials have influenced.
Oh yeah,
dramatically how Bigfoot's portrayed. I think so.
Absolutely, with the big head and forehead.
Yeah. It's funny that a jerky commercial can have such an impact on the cultural perception of a monster, but there it is,
This is America.
Yeah.
They spent the money when they first started it, the campaign. They paid Stan Winston Studios to do the makeup. They wanted to do it right, and it became like an internet hit before it went viral. Before there was really viral.
Yeah.
And, now it's, you know, it's their brand. Sasquatch is the brand, so it's cool.
Very much so.
Yeah.
So we have.
How did you get started? Oh,
yeah. You're good.
We do a lot of this.
We do a lot of this.
Yeah, no, I in high school I wanted to be an actor, and I grew up in Los Angeles, and I got a job at Universal in Universal Studios Hollywood playing Frankenstein. So I played Frankenstein, Phantom, Wolfman, Harry from Harry and the Hendersons in the theme park.
Oh,
as
wow.
I was pursuing acting. And that kind of started this thing as years went on, doing stuff in makeup. So I've done stuff in and out of makeup, but my start was at Universal Studios performing.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Wow. So were you a fan of like monster makeup, monster magazines and that sort of thing when you were a kid?
Oh yeah, I was a Fangoria fan. I was a big monster fan. I was a Halloween fan. I mean, I love collecting masks. I had a bunch of Don Post masks.
Oh wow.
So I was definitely a monster fan. It was something that just came natural and something that I love. So that's why I wanted to do that at Universal. That's why I sought it out, because of the fact that I was a fan. So I was perfect for Frankenstein because I was 6'5" in high school. So, you know, Harry, so I went right in and got the job, and, you know, stayed there for like 10 years as I was pursuing acting. It was my only job other than being an actor that I've ever had. So it was a cool start for sure.
Well, I was, so go ahead, Karen. Sorry. We do this. Sorry. Everybody's sitting behind the curtain. This is how this really goes down. Like every other. So,
yeah, that's why we're so good with podcasting and just archiving it, because then we can edit it. That's a lot easier. But anyway, I've seen a lot of documentaries where people, you know, where have these masks and costumes and makeup. Does this take hours and hours and hours to get into character for you?
Well, for the Universal thing, it was just like a put on a mask and a costume and go out and perform. But for the stuff in movies, absolutely. I mean, you know, the Sasquatch is like a 3-hour makeup for Jack Link's.
Wow.
And then I've got to put the suit on, and then I got to get contacts in, and then I got to get, I wish you could flash a picture of it so people could see, but, it's
can you do?
I have teeth.
Yeah, I'm still learning, but soon. Yeah. Yeah. Post, I could probably do this here. So, what do you want me to show? And I'll try to get that in post.
I was just showing a picture of my makeup as Sasquatch. I'll send you some pictures of the stuff I talk about, so you'll have high quality images.
Perfect. Yeah. I can do that.
So that's like a 3-hour makeup. The longest makeup I've ever been in was on Grimm. I played the villain. There you go. Yeah. See, that's not even Jack Link's. That's the other ones. Those are other ones.
It goes to show how many times you've played Bigfoot, I guess.
I know. Jack Link's isn't in that one.
So that's currently the missing links.
Yeah, there you go. Wasn't that a movie?
We didn't warn you about his puns.
My longest makeup was on Grimm, which took about 6.5 hours to get into. So I was there at 3 in the morning getting in that makeup, because it was glued from like my waist all the way up. It was pretty crazy.
Must have been hot and uncomfortable to wear.
It wasn't hot because it was freezing in Portland. We shot in Portland. You ever see the series Grimm? The series Grimm? Remember that series?
I haven't.
I played the villain on the final few episodes, and I had to fight and stuff. And what was happening is, as I was turning, the glue was coming undone and started ripping my skin. And it was that was pretty miserable, but yeah, that was the longest. But yeah, it takes long, and the contacts are another beast to deal with. Literally, they're so uncomfortable. You gotta have a lens tech, and if anything gets in and it scratches your eye, it's horrible.
Are they soft lenses, I assume, at this point? I know
they're soft. They're not like they were back in the day with Lon Chaney and stuff, but they're sclero, so they're huge. They cover the entire white of the eye, so you feel them down here. And you can't put them in yourself. You have to have a person that does it for you.
Right.
Make me
so
queasy.
as soon as they start to dry out too, and if you don't catch it in time, it can get stuck to your eye, and yeah, it's
that's a mess.
Hope they pay you well.
Well, you know, I imagine naively, a lot of people probably think, well, if you're wearing all that makeup, it's not that hard to act. But I've looked at some of your training videos online about the work you do to like prepare yourself for the physical side of it. Like,
oh yeah.
How much does that physical performance come in, like when you're actually executing on these
roles?
I mean, like, can you talk a little bit about what that's like?
Yeah, I mean, every character is different. So when I get a role, I kind of look at what, talk with the people building it and see how difficult it's going to be. Sometimes there's heavy arms or something, and I try them on and I realize, oh my gosh, I have to lift like 30, 40 pounds on that arm. I'm going to have to start training my shoulders more, start looking at things like that. When it's a makeup, it's good to get in the makeup and see like the movement you get out of it, because some can move different than others. So you want to know what's reading and what's not, because as an actor without makeup, it's in the eyes, it's in the thought, and that conveys what you're giving. When you're in a makeup, you have to exaggerate your facial expressions for it to read. So it's a different process. So depending on what the character is, I like to train for that role. Some of the movement stuff that I do, maybe that's what you're talking about. Do more animal type movement workouts as opposed to your traditional, isolated curls and things like that. I don't do that as much as more calisthenic and animal type movement.
Yeah.
Those are the things that help more with the characters I play.
Yeah, it looked like some pretty advanced physical training. Yeah, go ahead, Karen. Sorry.
Did you ever watch anything like the Patterson Gimlin footage or anything like that to try and pick up some moves?
The what footage?
The Patterson Gimlin.
I don't even know what that is. What is that?
Oh. That's the original super. This is what Bigfoot's supposed to look like. Bigfoot movie.
Oh yeah.
1967.
Yes.
The shot of Bigfoot striding through California.
Right, with her large pendulous breasts. So yeah. It's weird. Bigfoot doesn't really come out that way mostly. Yeah, most of the Bigfoots are male, I see. Yeah. So.
Yeah. Is that the one where it's walking across?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
A lot of the Bigfoots I played, they haven't wanted the traditional walk. They've wanted more of a something different for some reason. They didn't want the traditional, because I brought that up in the past. They say, "Oh no, we don't want that. We want you to bring something different."
Yeah,
like
no,
make
it your own.
Yeah. It's first of all, it's in focus. You can clearly see Bigfoot.
Yeah, it's not blurry.
They spent so much on that suit, they better keep it in focus.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I assume you don't get to keep the suit because that's too bad. So
it's a couple $100,000 suit. It's hand sewn. Each hair is hand weaved in there.
Wow.
But it'd be made just for you too. Who else would ever wear that?
Yeah. So it's a very expensive suit and makeup. It takes 2 makeup artists. So no, the company Legacy Effects used to be Stan Winston. They take care of the suit and stuff. Sometimes it's sent back wherever I'm shooting on a plane, bundled up, soaked. It's pretty gets pretty nasty.
Wow. Do you get to do you get a discount on jerky or anything?
Oh, they give me jerky whenever I work. They'll just throw me a ton of it. So
wow, cool.
Yeah, I love the Jacqueline's jerky. It's delicious.
It is. It really is.
Little plug there. So we've been doing this show for about 10 years now, and how many shows do you think we've actually talked about Bigfoot? It'd have to be a large amount.
It's a lot. So
yeah, we've talked about. We
probably should do some stats on that at some point. That'd be good.
Have you ever talked to somebody that's played Bigfoot?
No, I don't think so.
This is the first time.
Yeah.
Okay,
so I guess my question is, over the years, we've dealt with a lot of claims of people who believe that they've seen Bigfoot, lots of sightings. So we tend to be on the more skeptical side of things and to apply critical thinking to claims of Bigfoot sightings. But what about you? Where do you stand? Do you believe in Bigfoot, or have you ever had any experiences yourself, or any paranormal experiences that you want to tell us about?
And we're not judgy.
I'm not a Bigfoot believer, but I'm definitely have had paranormal experiences. Especially the one that comes to mind is there's this hospital in LA called Linda Vista. Have you heard of it?
No.
It's been abandoned since the 70s. It was an insane asylum. Ooh. And it was used for filming from like the 80s till a couple years ago. And then they decided to build housing. Okay. But so there were several floors of that hospital that was an insane asylum, and also it was known for a lot of low-income people that would come there, and they didn't have any identification. They were not citizens, so they didn't know who they were. So they died in the hospital. So from what everyone has told me there's been a lot of sightings of people wanting the family to know where they are, but yet they're stuck. Their spirit is stuck in this building. And when you go to certain floors, like the 4th floor in particular, you could look it up, Linda Vista Hospital. There's a lot of creepy images on there. I felt air, I felt wind coming in when all the windows were closed. I felt noises. I felt my chills go up and down my body. Stuff would happen with the camera in a certain spot, and as soon as it went to the other spot, it was fine, and then they bring it back to that spot and it wouldn't work. I mean, a lot of things like that, which made me think there's something going on here.
We have a question from listener Sophie Smith, and she wants to know if this is the asylum that was used in Terminator 2. And no, that was Lakeview Medical Center. So I want to thank Sophie Smith for listening to the show and participating. So that's my daughter.
Okay. Well, if you were to Google that, I'm sure you could find out what movies were shot there. There's a ton of movies that were shot in Linda Vista Hospital. And it was the paranormal shows. There's a lot of shows did episodes on that hospital.
Oh yeah, it's a Ghost Adventures there. Yeah.
Yes.
Ghost Hunters and
yes.
Well, it doesn't Linda Vista mean like the view of Linda? Is who's Linda and why are people looking at her? That's what I want to know. So
it's a topic for another time.
Yeah.
Okay, fine. All right. Go ahead.
We've got quite a few skeptics in the audience, and someone's just commented that they think this is the closest any of us are going to get to ever actually talking to Bigfoot. So
I think that's true, actually.
Now, as Bigfoot, when you're preparing for the role, do you think more I'm a nature spirit or more I'm an ultra terrestrial from another dimension? How do you like really sort of
internalize? How do I get into character? More based off the way I move than like the thoughts of those things, once I get into the character in the makeup and I start doing the walk and the groans, all of a sudden it just puts me in this place of a Sasquatch.
This is really cool because I've seen those commercials. You do a lot of emoting. There's a lot of face work in there.
Yeah, there is.
Yeah. So it's
there's a lot of exaggerated face work that if I didn't have the makeup, I'd look like the worst actor in the world. Seriously.
It's like you're pushing the scaffolding, right? Like you're pushing out all those.
Yeah, you're just like
do you
exaggerating everything?
Yeah. Do you get to work in a mirror first to like prepare for the shot?
That's the best thing for me is because, like I said, every makeup's different. The fortunate thing with the Sasquatch is I've done it so many times that I kind of know the makeup, but especially for newer things that I get into that that's the best way to know what's reading and what's not. Because sometimes you think you're doing something and it's working, but you look in the mirror or on the monitor and you go, oh man, that's not reading. I thought that was reading and it's not. So working in a mirror with makeup is great. If I don't have makeup on, it's the exact opposite. Working in a mirror is the worst thing you could do because then you're like forcing emotions that aren't real, you know, when it's supposed to be in the mind, the thought, the eyes.
Yeah.
So it's like two separate ways of working.
That's really cool.
Do you get a lot of directions, or do you just really get told to do your own thing? And
it's more me just hiring me to do my own thing. I personally like getting direction, but a lot of times, you know, the director has so much on his plate that they're just there to do the show, and the turnaround so quick that he can't worry about what I'm doing. Now, if I like didn't hit a mark or needed to do something a little different, then they'll give it, but it's not usually based off my movements or acting. It's more on direction for the scene, you know.
Okay.
They kind of expect you to come there already being the character, so they don't have to worry about that, you know.
So 6 hours of makeup and then 10 minutes of shooting.
Yeah. And then being in the makeup.
It's like my wedding night.
Yeah.
Too much information.
Do you when you're like doing these other monsters, I mean, so like with Bigfoot, you kind of have a natural, I mean, everybody has, I would assume at this point, we have a cultural conception of what Bigfoot is, and you've got your script. But like when you're doing these other monsters and you're still working within a script, but how do you decide on what the physical performance is going to be for a demon or whatever kind of creature? Yeah.
A lot of times I'll go based off like the design and the makeup, and then also, like you said, what's in the script. And then if I get a chance to talk to the director about what he wants, but a lot of times like something will come to me based off the design. If he's bent over, then I'll know he's kind of, you know, I'll have to work on that type of a thing. You know, if his shoulders are back and he's really upright, like the Verloc's character in The Quest was, you know, that's how the design was. So I felt like he was very powerful and regal. So it's I kind of go based off the script and the design.
Do you know? One of our listeners want to know if you get special teeth for the Bigfoot, for the lynx.
Yes.
Bigfoot teeth.
Yeah, they're huge.
Yeah.
They're huge upper teeth and lowers. They push my mouth out so that when I don't have the teeth in, the lip looks like very pushed in. So the teeth bring the mouth out.
Ooh.
You know.
Neat.
Yeah.
Sounds almost painful.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they're no fun to wear either, and you can't really drink or eat with them on. They're not fun.
It's interesting. Like there's people who are like the unsung heroes of like the directors get a lot of credit, and the actors rightly so get a lot of credit. But the makeup people, man, you except for like the studio heads, like you get like Stan Winston and your Rick Bakers here and there. It's like you just don't hear about them that much. But boy, they sure add to the performance, don't they?
Oh yeah, man. A good makeup artist, you know, is gonna they're the ones transforming you. Yeah, I mean, you're playing the character, but if you didn't have them to do the correct makeup, I mean, it would be like a, you know, amateur hour. So yeah, they are the unsung heroes, and I know so many talented makeup artists out there that are just amazing.
Do you do any special vocal work, or do they dub you for the Bigfoot stuff?
All the Bigfoot stuff uses my voice and my growls and stuff. There's no speaking in it, so there's a lot of you know. So years ago, they would like add like a filter on my growl, and now they're just using my own growls and stuff.
You sound like you can project your voice very well. So yeah.
Yeah, and I think it's much more when I've seen commercials that have added it. It's not as authentic and off, because a lot of the stuff I'm doing is like in the moment, off the cuff. I'm not planning it. So it comes out of like a real reaction. Whereas if you're adding post sound, you don't get that same feeling, especially in comedy. You know, if it was more like a scare, that's different. But in comedy, I'm groaning in certain moments that are real to the scene. And if you add like a post growl in, it might not have the same feeling to it.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. It's funny because we get we hear some claims of people saying that Bigfoot have their own language. and actual words and sentences and fully language. So that's interesting. They always just get you to do growls and roars and
and it's kind of based off like in the moment of the performance. It's not like written in. It's kind of just how whatever comes out.
Ad-libbing.
Yeah.
That's neat.
So do you ever get, I'm sure you get recognized, oh, it's Douglas Tait. Do you ever get anyone going, oh, it's Bigfoot, or I saw you playing this role?
I don't usually get recognized because I'm in so much makeup. I got recognized at Trader Joe's the other day from a guy who said, oh, you were in Zathura. And I said, Zathura? Wow, that's interesting. Usually it's more when I go to like certain conventions or like Monsterpalooza where people know who I am because they're fans of,
because monster fans are awesome, right? Exactly. Yeah.
So they know who I am, but not people in everyday life,
Cool.
Yeah.
Because I think that's where I met you briefly years ago. So we got you on the show through my husband, Matt Baxter, and you met him. I think he took you to City of the Dead here in Denver years ago, and that was with Jonathan Breck and Eileen.
My buddy. Yeah. That was great. That was a blast.
Do you do a lot of conferences and conventions?
I was doing them for a while, and then I haven't in the last few years just because I've been so focused on work. I've been working a lot. Cool. And then my signing agent handles all the Walking Dead guys, so he was making so much of them that he
oh my gosh, yeah,
he kind of Norman Reedus and all those guys that he kind of like focused just on them, which was fine because I wasn't really pushing it, but I enjoy doing it from time to time. A lot of times I'd get one and then I'd have to cancel because of work. I hated doing that. But yeah, I enjoy it because you're meeting people that like movies you're in and stuff. So it's cool. Yeah. That was the one in Denver, the Mile High Nightmare, right?
Yeah. It was obviously around Halloween.
Yes.
But I can't remember what year it was, but
it's been a while.
I think I just remember you for being even taller than my husband.
Yeah. Well, I better be tall if I'm a Bigfoot.
Yeah, exactly. Hello.
Bigfoot, right?
This would be disappointing, but a lot of researchers think the original Bigfoot film was probably around 6 feet tall. That's really disappointing.
Wow.
Because if you go back and read the literature from the 70s, especially, but even in the 60s, but especially in the 70s, a lot of people were reporting like 13-foot tall Bigfoot, 14, like looking in on like second story windows. And it's like wow. I'm ready for some like giant Japanese, monster kind of action. And it's like, it's getting up there. It's getting up there.
Yeah.
So we've got more people coming in and saying hi to Douglas and hi to us. So hi, everyone. Thanks for joining us.
Okay, one more question from my daughter. Thank you for watching. She really wants to know if the fake teeth that you have for Bigfoot, do you think, in your impression, are they carnivore teeth or herbivore teeth? She wants to know.
Oh, they're definitely herbivore teeth. He's not a carnivore.
There you go.
He you'll never see him eating the jerky. He doesn't eat meat.
Look at that.
Oh,
wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. Vegetarian.
He's a vegetarian.
That's funny. Cool. But that doesn't mean they're not dangerous. Okay.
They're I'll
like
toss you across the room.
Yeah, exactly.
I won't eat you.
You guys should have like an outtakes where he catches the people and throws them. It's just like footage of him tossing vehicles and stuff. So that'd be funny.
So what do you prefer to do? What kind of acting do you really enjoy? Being the creature man mostly, or do you like doing other stuff where you can play yourself? Or
to be honest with you, like I started as an actor just as myself, and this kind of took over. I do enjoy characters in makeup, some much more than others. But if I were to ask what I enjoy more, like you're asking, I would enjoy being out of makeup because there's so much physicality and you know, pain that comes from being in makeup day after day, that it can get a little old sometimes, you know. Like the character in Hellboy is my least favorite kind to do, because that is a character in an animatronic head in a full suit. The animatronic head weighed 55 pounds, and I couldn't see. You know, my breathing was not good. It caught on fire. In one scene, Mila Jovovich went crazy. She went nuts. She was like, "This is bullshit. Get that thing off him." She was yelling. She was great lady. But so those things are so physical that I would much rather be a cop or a detective if I had a choice.
Wow. Yeah. Well, it looks like I mean, just from watching your performance here, like this is not really performance, but just watching you, it seems like
yes, it is.
You've got it's like so anyway, thanks for coming by. We appreciate this call. We'll get back with you. It was like no, but seriously, you're doing exactly. You're obviously able to bring a lot more to your face and your performance than you're going to see behind the makeup. So it's a different kind of acting, you know.
Yeah.
So
I have a movie coming out this summer that I star in out of makeup, called Attack of the Unknown, a sci-fi film. So there is aliens in it. I'm just not playing them. I play a SWAT.
Nice.
Yes. Someone's saying you played a cop named Baxter, and so I'm assuming that's my husband.
Yes.
Saying that.
I did, Officer Baxter. That's right. That's right.
That's funny.
So, there you go.
Are we getting? Let's see. I'm having a little trouble following the Facebook feed.
Yeah, I mean, we're getting a lot of questions and a lot of comments, and because we're chatting, we're just missing them as they're coming up. And again, it says Facebook user. It's not saying actually.
Well, there's that. Yeah, so it's a little hard to
follow.
And
I don't know. Douglas,
I saw somebody ask how tall I was. I'm 6'5".
So I think
someone answered too.
Yeah, I think IMDB needs to be updated, because I think IMDB thinks you're 6'4".
Oh, so, yeah. Oh,
it's hard to keep that updated. Yeah.
I'm like in between 6'5". I'm 6'4.5". I think is my
round up. You wear shoes, whatever.
Yeah.
So, it's like, just don't ask my wife about rounding up. But the point is, I don't have an IMDb page, so that's all right. So
yeah.
So we've had a few questions that have popped up. So if anyone did have a question, if you want to send it through, because we're just missing them as we chat. So we'll try and keep a closer eye on them as they come through.
We're trying, yeah. So one of the questions is, what's your favorite uncredited role? That's interesting.
My favorite uncredited role.
Yeah, but I'm not sure. Yeah,
what does that mean? Like, I don't know.
Like, is there any role where you come on as a monster or whatever and you don't make the credits? I guess. You know what? I don't know, but maybe if we even asked what your favorite role is, maybe that would be. It's always funny to me. Yeah. Like our signature question, which we warned you about, is like, what's your favorite monster? And I personally hate trying to pick my favorite anything. It's like I try to make the most of whatever I'm in. You know.
Your favorite color?
Yeah,
that's a tough one. That's a tough question for sure.
Yeah.
There's been some really good ones. I got to play something. I got to do something recently that I can't talk about. Oh God, I shouldn't even have brought it up. But it's pretty. I don't
even know what you're talking about.
It's pretty epic. And that one was a childhood dream, to be honest. Going back to Universal, I was a fan of Frankenstein growing up, and then I started playing Frankenstein in the park, and then I got my first guest star role on Sabrina the Teenage Witch, which is Frankenstein.
Wait. Did you just say Frankenstein in the park?
Yeah, in the Universal Studios.
Oh, the Universal Studios. I was thinking how they had Shakespeare in the park. I was just like, there's
no.
Sorry.
That would be cool.
There's an idea.
It's like that, but in the Universal park, there's a lot of people who get their start there. That's fantastic. Yeah. I saw also on your IMDb credits, you also directed and you wrote for The Haunt.
Yes, that was a pilot. Me and my wife, she co-directed with me, and we both wrote it. And it's basically was based off my experiences at Universal doing haunted houses.
Oh, cool. Okay.
Is a comedy pilot that I want to try to get sold. And it's like a Waiting for Guffman office in the haunted house world.
Oh, neat. I like that.
Yeah, about these group of small town folks who work at a local haunted house and all the drama and situations that happen there.
So you've already got that in the can? Have you been like pushing it around?
In the can, and we shot it. So because we're not out there selling scripts and things. So we figured instead of a script, let's shoot it so that we have like a trailer and a show, show what we're looking for, the format and things like that. So that's something that I definitely want to hopefully sell someday and make it into a show where I'm not footing the bill for it on every episode.
It's Bigfoot. Yeah.
So is that the direction that you're wanting your career to evolve towards, into more directing than acting?
Well, I love acting, but I definitely want to do more directing, and I want to do more, like, I just love the process of creating. Writing something, acting in a part that I want to play, directing something, using friends in my projects that I think are super talented. And just there's something about that. If you were to ask me my favorite character I've done or whatever, it's definitely the stuff that you create on your own. There's nothing like it, you know. It's super time consuming and it takes a lot of work, but the end feeling and result from doing it is you can't top it.
Yeah,
absolutely. How is it working with your wife on collaborating on a project like that?
It's good. I mean, there's always like, bickering and stuff, but as far as like, she's, we met, she's been in the business as long as me. I agree with a lot of the stuff she has. We're both on the same page with performance and things like that, and it's actually really, really good. It's great working together. Yeah.
Cool.
Nice.
And I think this is a question from my husband here. He wanted to know, in Land of the Lost, how many of those slee stacks were you?
There was 8 or 6 main hero ones. I was one of the hero. And then there was like 30 background ones that didn't have the animatronic mask and stuff. But I'm in a lot of the scenes. I get kicked in the balls in one by Danny McBride. That's me. I mean, I could point out the ones I am. There's a lot of me in there. Yeah. That was cool.
You were born in 78?
Yes.
So you missed like the original run of
I missed the original run, but I did see the reruns growing up in the 80s.
Cool.
Yeah.
What did you think? It's a weird series, isn't it?
I thought it was really, really cheesy and ridiculous. But it was so cool to meet Sid.
You met Sid Croft and Marty Croft?
Yes, they were on set.
Oh, wow.
Sid and Marty. Sid was the best. Marty's more the business guy. Sid was more the like on set hanging with you guy, and his stories were just fabulous. He was the coolest guy ever.
I bet they made a lot of strange TV, man. They really did. They had
60s, man, 60s and 70s.
In Atlanta, they had the World of Sid and Marty Croft. It was like a way ahead of its time amusement park, like way ahead of its time. And that area, it was it's down. It was near a place called the Omni, which has now been rebuilt into something. There's all new buildings down there. But what's left of it is the CNN Center. And at one point, it had the world's largest freestanding escalator, which still, I don't know if it still holds the record, but it's still there. But it's now the CNN Center. Yeah. But the ride I always wanted to ride. They had a ride. They had all these different themed Sid and Marty Croft things, but they had a ride where you get into a pinball and then you ride through the pinball machine. And I was like in the first or second grade, and it blew my mind. I was like, "You're in a pinball game? This is the greatest thing in the world, right?" So I really wanted to go see that. So
yeah, they were ahead of their time. They did some crazy, wacky stuff.
Yeah. And they gave a lot of work to like really great character actors who had not been, used in a while. So I love that. So
yeah, for sure.
And probably the longest, I really haven't like verified this, but I may have been the longest running sea monster show. Sigmund the Sea Monster. I mean, it was on for a while, and there just haven't been a lot of sea monster shows out there. So
no, there hasn't.
That's obscure.
We need a creature from the Black Lagoon.
It used to be a thing. We do. Wouldn't that be awesome? Yeah. God, that's one of my favorite monsters. I was so interested in the Universal sort of dark universe they were trying to put together, and I was so disappointed when it seems like it died. But now the Invisible Man's doing pretty good. I mean, even with the box episode. So who knows? I thought was it The Shape of Water sort of stole the thunder from what might have been a Gilman reboot, but man, I would love to do that.
And Guillermo is a huge Creature from the Black Lagoon fan.
Yeah,
and I know that he's been wanting to do that movie for years, and I don't know, maybe there's something with Universal or something, but I think this was his way of doing his own
thing, Oh yeah, it's such a beautiful creature.
Similarities there, a lot of similarities.
The creature design is just so brilliant on them, to be able to hide a scuba tank and still make it look very natural. It's really cool.
It's a strange thing to say.
Yeah, it is, but it is also. I mean, I as a fan of monsters, as a fan of the craftsmanship behind that, it always struck me as one of the best looking monsters. And just
for that time, I mean, it was just so brilliant. I mean, everybody says that they're such, that are monster fans, they're a fan of the Creature from the Black Lagoon. I agree.
Yeah.
And Rico Browning, that swim he had it was perfect for that character,
It's very distinctive. It's an iconic film. I mean, it really is. So, so do you have you had to do any monster films where they did traditional incremental shots to like have a transformation, or is it all digital now? Do people still do those? I remember they always talked about putting nails through the tips of his fingers so he'd hold still for the Wolfman transformation.
Yeah.
Oh.
I personally think that the transformations that were done practical look better than the CGI ones of today, but I can't really think of any that I did that were practical. I prefer if you're gonna do CGI is to just to like have somebody and not see like all the growth of the hair, because I've been on shows like Grimm that has done that, and it just doesn't come across good. You see the hair coming out and bones breaking, and it looks very phony. I guess what they did in American Werewolf in London and those, it was it took so much work and so many days of doing it that they just don't want to take that time anymore,
Right.
Yeah.
You've played a werewolf before, haven't you? That's one of your credits.
What'd you say?
You played a werewolf before, haven't you?
Yeah. I played a werewolf in Annabelle Comes Home. And then I played a werewolf in a commercial that was really cool by Barney Berman, did the makeup, whose families had been in the business forever, the Bermans. I think that's it.
Yeah, do you
played just about every character I think we've ever talked about?
Yeah, do you have like a monster punch list that you like try to like check off?
Yeah, there's I played Jason in the end of Freddy vs. Jason. So
really? Oh wow!
Yeah.
All that. So
and then there was another iconic character from my young days that I recently got a chance to play that I can't talk about. So yeah, there's a few that I still want to play. I'd like to play Frankenstein in a remake type of movie. I think that would be amazing since that's where I started.
Okay.
But yeah.
Yeah. I mean, theoretically, Universal's going to have one of those on tap somewhere, right? Theoretically,
they have to. They have to. So. I know. I think Guillermo wanted to do that also. You know,
it's a good story. I mean, it holds up really well. What are we just had the 200th anniversary. Is that right? I think so. 19. Yeah. We just had the 200th anniversary fairly recently. So yeah.
Wow. Someone's commented he needs to play Jeff the Talking Mongoose.
That's an inside joke.
I don't know if you've heard of. Okay. Yeah, it's one of our favorite monsters, but it's pretty obscure, I think, to a lot of people.
Yeah, I don't know that one.
I'm trying to skirt around. You know, we're all kind of stuck at home these days. But do you have any kind of insight into what you'll be working on next when things open up again?
I'm working on Star Trek Picard on and off, the new Star Trek show. And I'm also working on that Legacies show. That's what I've been doing, a lot of characters on that. And then I have a film that I directed that I've been editing. So that hasn't been announced yet because we don't know the title. We were going to announce it on the trades, and then all this stuff happened, and they said, "Oh, it's not a good time to announce right now."
Yeah.
So I can't really get into that because we don't have the name and it hasn't been announced. And the trade places like you to be the first one to announce it, so I can't really talk about it. But it was cool to have another film in the can. My first feature, actually, directed.
I can't believe more big studios don't use this as a clearinghouse for their news announcements. I don't know why, but you know.
Well, they should. Damn it.
You played in the Star Trek the J.J. Abrams movie.
Yeah.
Right. And now you're in the Picard, so you've kind of like bridged the universes.
Yes, and then I was at 2 years ago, I went to the Star Trek convention in Vegas, and when I was 18, right out of high school, I did an episode of Deep Space Nine, but as like a feature character. And people were bringing me screen grabs that they printed out of that show when I wasn't even like, it wasn't like a role. It was just like a featured part in there. So I've been on 3 things now, Star Trek related, which is pretty neat.
That is neat. Cool. It was very neat. Yeah. It's funny because, you know, there was a time when, especially like for television, they would reuse the same actor for multiple roles, sometimes within the same season. You know, it was
yeah.
So, I mean,
that's what's so good about doing the makeup stuff is that I can be reused. I mean, if it was just myself, it's kind of like you can't really play another character when you've already been seen as like a cop or something.
But not these days.
I'm bringing up a picture of the Picard so that you guys could see. Now that she did it on her phone, that was a great idea. This is
nice.
Cool.
It's pretty cool, right?
Very cool.
Very cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think we've got a question for you here as well. So someone's asked, what do you think of the new Godzilla and King Kong movies?
I think they're great. I loved them. I thought the when they first brought it back, King Godzilla, I thought that using the storyline of the nuclear bombing in Japan, Hiroshima, was all due to them killing Godzilla, but they didn't want to let that get out. I was like, well, that is brilliant. Oh my God. Yeah, I enjoyed it. I enjoyed them for sure.
Oh, cool.
I thought they're well done. I mean, it's all CGI, but I think it's, you know, the money they have to do it. It's effective, you know. It's hard to do a suit thing. I got to play Godzilla too in a Snickers commercial.
Oh, really?
Really?
They went back and made it, and it was Stan Winston. They made it just like the original. They did the same process to do it. It was pretty cool.
So how heavy did it feel? I mean, it was pretty heavy suit. I heard those were.
It was very heavy. It weighed about 150 pounds.
Wow.
So they would have it like on a harness thing, and then they let they'd let it off when it was time for a take, and I'd just be going, oh, it was all on my shoulders.
Yeah.
Oh.
It was like a backpack that came off my shoulder. So it was just so much weight digging into my back and shoulders.
Wow.
But that was in correlation with the first Godzilla they put out. They did a tie-in with it, which was pretty cool for that Snickers commercial.
Oh wow.
Yeah,
that's very cool. You're impressing my son. He's super impressed. So
yeah.
And us.
Yeah, well, us too. Yeah, but yeah, it's rare that my kids are even aware that I'm doing this show, so it's very exciting for me.
He's a big Godzilla fan, isn't he?
Yeah, he is big. Anything to do with kaiju, he's all in. So
Okay,
yeah, and I mean, again, another example of, I mean, now those are all CGI for the most part, but like a lot of performance work went into those classic suit monsters. They're just it's like I feel for them. It's like I enjoy the movies, but every now and then I stop and think, wow, that's a lot of work. Even for the worst movie, it's a lot of work.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And just hearing about this behind the scenes stuff, it's just really scary to hear some of the things you've gone through for art.
Oh, I know. Like I have some stories.
We're selling Snickers here. People are trading Snickers.
If Snickers were sponsoring me, we would have a significantly nicer green backdrop. So
yeah.
Now, is that green backdrop to like add something in there, or you just have a green backdrop?
I got it to do some video work, and it turns out that if you do, a lot of people are doing Zoom meetings for the first time. And you can put in a custom background, but there's a little checkbox at the bottom, and it says, do you have a green screen? And if you don't have a green screen, the Zoom software tries to extrapolate what's you and what's your background. And it kind of sometimes works. Sometimes you kind of get pixelated and weird things happen. If you have a green screen, it's like you're wherever you say you are. Like it feels like perfectly natural. It looks really cool. So it just seamlessly does the chroma key replacement. Yeah, it's really nice.
It doesn't do it on this program.
It does not do it on this program. No.
I just thought you liked having a green background. I wasn't sure.
It's
very monstrous.
It's St. Patrick's Day. It's
yeah, I think he's got stuff behind there as well. So it's a bit of a mess, right?
If you want to take a peek, no, you can't really see much.
No. Oh, okay.
You see my cruddy. There's a cow. Oh, there's a little whiskey. Yeah. Oh no! What a terrible example I'm setting.
Oh, there's a secret. Looks much better with the green.
Monster books, a little side tour, whiskey and comics. That's
all you need. All you need for quarantine.
Also, that's weird waviness. That's very strange. Apparently, webcam's not like a real camera. So that was very disruptive there. Thank you for leading me astray.
We've only got a couple of minutes left, so if anyone else has any questions for Douglas, if you want to send those through, but we should probably finish with our closing up question anyway.
We should, because we don't know how long he wants to talk about it, right? So we're going to split your last question because based on what the preview thing that you talked about. So the first thing is, what's your favorite monster? But you might also say, what's the favorite monster that you played as well? So
I think I kind of said it in Frankenstein is my favorite monster. Just because I loved it as a kid, and then I went to play it, and it has a lot of special meaning for me.
Do you have a preference from any of the movies that you like better than the others, or?
I like the original Boris Karloff.
Okay.
Frankenstein.
Okay.
I just felt like, I guess I saw that one as a kid, and
it's certainly iconic, right? Yeah,
very iconic. Yeah, very iconic. Now, does it hold up today? I mean, it's tough sometimes to watch some of those movies. Some of them are cool. Some of them are a little slow to today's pace. But I think for the favorite character, that would have to be that Verlox character in that show, The Quest.
Okay.
Because I love improv and I love things off the cuff. I love the Sasquatch because I do that. But this one I had a whole army that was fighting in real knight outfits in front of me that I was commanding. And when I was interacting with those reality contestants, a lot of people don't know what this is that I'm talking about. I never knew. I had certain dialogue, but it never went as planned. So to be able to be in the moment as things are happening, and I have to figure out what I'm going to say, the thrill of that was just so overwhelming. It was just, I was getting real reactions from them too, which was cool. It was pretty amazing. Yeah.
That's neat.
You have to look up Verlox online, Verlox from the Quest, and see how cool that character is.
Yeah.
Okay.
This would be a good place for me to stick that in the show notes.
Yeah, yeah. And so I guess one final question from a viewer is, why is Bigfoot so popular in car commercials?
I know, huh? I did a Toyota one last year too, a Toyota Bigfoot.
A Hyundai, and a whole bunch of.
I think that he's like he's kind of like Bigfoot's kind of comedic now as far as they've portrayed him, especially with the Jack Links and things like that. And he's interesting, and he makes a great salesman. You want to look at him. I think it's. I've done several, so it's funny. People laugh when I'm doing Bigfoot characters.
Yeah,
it's a fun makeup. It's a fun character.
He's iconic, and also he doesn't have all the intellectual property issues that other
exactly. He's a little slow. He's not the sharpest tool, so he could say something and be silly and dumb, and people could look at him, but you'll laugh because you'll laugh at it because he's Bigfoot.
That's a really interesting point, though, because I think for many years we've talked about people having these sightings and how scared they are, and frightened of Bigfoot and how big he is. And you're right, but in these commercials and in many other representations, he's a comedy. So
no, he's comedy now. Yeah, he's comedy when it comes to selling something.
Yeah, we've discussed that before. This whole process of really scary monsters becoming into these sort of like fluffy,
sparkly,
like friendly, happy. I call it the gentification of monsters.
Yeah.
Totally.
So, but I think you can use those funny versions and help you process your fear of monsters and celebrate monsters. I mean, as long as they're not chasing you, trying to kill you, monsters are awesome.
Yeah, right.
So,
exactly. So I agree.
Well, I guess we need to sort of wind up here.
Okay.
We just want to thank you so much, Douglas, for appearing on the show, and you've got such an impressive resume. I mean, you've done so many things. It's just really, really cool to hear about.
Yeah. If you have anything you want us to push or promote, or if you have any links you want people to go to, let us know. You can say them now, and I'll get them into the show notes when this goes out.
I'll send you some pictures, and I could send you if anybody's interested in seeing the work I do, I'm on Instagram, and I have a Facebook page, and things like that. I post a lot of my upcoming work and things I've done and stuff.
Outstanding.
Yeah.
Cool.
And if any creative people want to book you, how do they contact you? Who's your agent?
As far as a convention, I have a signing agent. It's on my IMDb, Sean Clark, and then my agent is on there also.
Fantastic. Cool.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, we've got a bunch of people coming through and saying thank you, Doug.
Absolutely.
Hey, thanks for watching, everybody. Appreciate it.
We really appreciate
it's fun hearing about everything.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
All right. Well, stay safe, stay well. What's going to happen is I'm going to hit the button to stop streaming, and then we'll awkwardly continue to talk for 30 to 45 seconds.